psychology is one of the fields which has not contributed really anything to the problems of environment or controlling corporations or what you're calling the democracy problem. Yeah, we're not there. We're not doing much about it yet. But I think that will change. And I think that one of the agencies of change is people working within conservative niches like this and finding the support, because it's there. I mean, the people who are ready to break out of the mold are there. And it's a matter of a lot of cultivation of this work. One of the heroes of our field right now is a psychologist called Mary Pfeiffer. Some of you may know of her. She wrote a famous book called Reviving Ophelia, but she also put together she was one of the founders of the group in Nebraska which successfully, for the moment, blocked the Keystone XL pipeline going across Nebraska. And she shows that psychologists can be allowed to live, I think, are worth having around, and because they have some potential, and I think that a lot of the work which has to be done is of that nature. It's going into these backwaters and changing things.
And this is going to be my last question because we have a couple more minutes here, and that is the importance of communities. You've got a great audience here. They're all members of communities, and they're hopefully going to take this back with them. So what do you want them to take from this, and what steps can they make individually and as a community group to further these types of goals that you all have in mind and envision for our future?
Well, can I start
that one?
Of course,
absolutely.
Yeah, I work with an awful lot of people in my neighborhood and in my part of the city who are recovering alcoholics, an awful lot of them. Because I give community courses with my friends, and they take them. And other people take them too. But I think that one of the really important things which has to happen is the combination, really it's the thesis of this meeting, I think, it's the combination of self-recovery with social recovery. Those two things are the same, and I think or they should be the same. They should be the same. And I think an awful lot of what has happened in terms of recovery from problems like addiction is that recovery becomes a matter of really becoming even more self-centered, of working on myself, making myself a better person, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But I think there's another step. There's another step because, and this goes back to something which you mentioned as well, working for social recovery is joyous, truly, and it is healing. And I think one of the things that is happening, is that union of the idea of people healing themselves and healing the earth at the same time. Exactly why we are here, because there is nothing more therapeutic than taking care of your mom. The earth, or Mother Nature. There's nothing more therapeutic than pitching in with that. And I think that social recovery is going to be a big part of our future.
Sister Pat?
Yeah. I think that as we go into the future, what I would like to see us most do is to reclaim or maybe rediscover or discover for the first time or deepen our ecological identity. That the awareness that as humans on this planet, Earth is our home, and that unless we really have that as a core part of our individual and communal identities, we will not be making the right decisions for future generations and sustainability. And I think that for true individual healing and recovery, it has to be done, as Bruce has said, in this wider context. Because when we start making recovery programs and decisions that are separate from the social cultural milieu which so determines our self-identity, and without understanding that when, I was going to say that earth is first, kind of earth first, and I say that not out of pride, but out of awareness that none of us can sustain our individual or communal lives without realizing we live in this context of an ecological, renewing, sustainable community that gives us the air to breathe, the water to drink, the soil to grow our food. And when all of that becomes polluted, toxin, and owned by corporate America or corporate whatever, we have short futures. So, and I know that sometimes I work with faith-based groups, and that's a hard one because people they have a God identity or think they have, or they have a religious identity and an individual. And I am all in favor of the diversity of the individual. Absolutely, that brings that into the communal. But what we haven't really emphasized, I think, is what I call ecological identity. And so then our psychology needs to flow from that. You know, our spirituality and religious practices need to flow from that. And our political and legal and economic decisions need to flow from that.
Wow. Yes. And I guess what I'll do then is just to be a lot more sort of nuts and bolts practical around it, because I completely concur with everything that both Bruce and Sister Pat has said. And the Move to Amend, I think, is an interesting coalition because we see everybody who is in the national leadership team sees ourselves as nonviolent revolutionaries. I've never been part of something where everybody who is like in that circle, we've all got a lot of different ideas around tactics and so forth, but we're all kind of like transformationalists to begin with, right? So that's very refreshing for me. And that's also allowed us then, we see ourselves as educating ourselves as well as helping to educate others. Like I don't know what I don't know. And I mean that sincerely. It's like, so we take that attitude. We also take a kind of attitude of horizontalism and into our work, which is to say, we invite people to participate with Move to Amend in whatever way makes sense for you. I hope everybody has already signed up. If not, you should. MoveToAmend.org. There's materials here. I can sign you up right now. As an individual, great. And if you're part of an existing organization, we'd like your organization to just endorse our effort. And if you want to partner with us, then we'll make that available. And if as an individual you're like, you know what, David, this core campaign around a constitutional amendment that's getting some legs, I want to help create a Move to Amend local affiliate, then we'll give you tools and resources to do that. I mean, in any way, we don't have a one-size-fits-all. Like, we will relate to any movement in whatever way actually makes sense, because actually we really are all transformationalists here, and we recognize that. Part of the reason that Move to Amend may be the only grouping that has the kind of ongoing positive relationship with Occupy is because we get it. Like I would never dare to speak for Occupy, but Move to Amend frequently collaborates with Occupy, right? And that, like, most organizations don't even think like that, wouldn't even know how to say that, and yet for us it's just how we roll. So the practical thing, Heather, in relation to you, is to say, if any of you are inspired by the corporate constitutional rights part, we've got ways to work with you. And I also want to be clear, we don't think that a constitutional amendment saying only human beings have constitutional rights and money is not speech is the end-all be-all. We think it is actually the beginning of the democracy movement that's actually going to be transformational. And I am interested very much in what it would look like to integrate some other things and make other demands. But at this stage, the most important thing that I would, in closing, is to ask each one of you to be thinking about what it is that most inspires you, and then to get active in that work, because that's really where you yourself will begin your spiritual, emotional, psychological transformation. And I promise you that law will follow culture, right? Law follows culture. This is not a legal problem. It is a cultural one.
At this time, I'd just like to thank all of our speakers for being here and having such an insightful and amazing conversation to see unfold. And just thank you so much. And I'm sure that everybody probably wants to talk to you guys afterwards. So we're going to conclude this portion of the program. Thank you.
Thank you.